For a long time, my biggest flaw in relationships was that I would bend backwards in order to please my man. I would do whatever it takes to make him happy. And what would happen then is I would do all the things, but he still would never be satisfied. He still would criticize the things that I'm doing. He would make me feel bad about it. He'd make me feel small about it. And what would happen then is that would build anger, frustration, resentment within me, even though I'm trying to do all these things. And eventually what would happen is that I would blow the F up and act in ways that was not in alignment with who I truly was or trying to be. And that would start this battle, this back and forth, right? And what I realized after a lot of introspection is that this pattern actually started because all of the dynamics that we have in our relationships, our adult relationships, it tends to start from the relationships and dynamics that we have with our parents or caregivers. So I remember as a child, and again, my mom, when I talk about it, I feel like people will probably think she's like, this horrible person, but she's not. She was just doing the best she possibly could. I remember when I was younger, I would try so hard to make her happy, to please her, to do whatever it takes, and she still would never be happy. And I realized that pattern, that frustration, that trigger is coming from there. And once I decided to get a separation from my ex-partner, we were married, right? We had decided to get the separation a couple of years back. And what I realized was that, oh wow, now I'm free from the relationships. I'm great now. Everything's going to be fine, and I'm going to find another person, and things are going to move on. But that's not how this works. And what I realized, because what happens is that even though you might leave that person, but your pattern doesn't change. You have not changed yet. You have just become aware of the pattern. You have not done any work in regards to changing and transforming it. And again, awareness is the beginning. It is the start to changing that pattern. But what I'm really trying to say in this video is that you can be aware of your pattern, but it doesn't mean that the work is over. Oh, I'm aware of it. Okay, great. Now I know all the information. No, that's not how this works, because that is what I was doing. I was like, oh, I know all this information. I'm doing my research. I'm learning. I'm, all this stuff. But when I'm back in this dynamic with this person again, or whoever the person is in your life, you're repeating that loop over and over and over again. Even though you're like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. This is happening again. We're having the same argument again. And that means that the work needs to continue. It doesn't stop. It doesn't end there. The real reason why we're here is to understand and to practice unconditional love. And that is one of the most difficult things for us humans to understand, right? Because relationships is all about, give and take. Back to my original point, what I was trying to say is that when you have this pattern within you, this trigger that has come back from my past, it's going to keep on happening until you actually work on your nervous system. Okay, that is the work, the real work. And again, this is not a one-time deep breath, inhale, meditation, and oh, you're done. No, this is the work that is continuous. And at the very beginning, it is going to be very difficult to stay regulated when somebody's trying to poke at you, or somebody's trying to belittle you, or make you feel like you're not enough, or whatever it is. And it's either about creating a boundary with that person. So one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and this is, again, I'm not sitting here saying that I have all the answers, because I definitely don't have the answers every single day. I'm looking for the answers. I want to know more. I love to learn about mindset, spirituality, all these kind of things are just like, I love it. And so what I try to do in those moments when I'm getting triggered, I try to do one of the two things. So either I try to respond respectfully. I think that is the key to respond in a calm way. Okay, because the moment that you react, you snap at them, that is when the war has begun. It's going to be a back and forth thing. And then you feel like crap. Like every time I snap at somebody, I just feel like shit. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I definitely feel that way. And I just feel like I lost. I'm just like, I just feel so defeated, with myself. And again, this is where the awareness part comes in, and people think, oh, awareness is so great. No, it's actually it's difficult to be aware, because when you're aware of yourself, you're like, shit, why did I do that? And, you start to almost feel guilty or ashamed of your patterns and who you're being. So again, awareness is really about being aware, okay, I'm doing it, but then figuring out ways to transform that reaction that you would have done in the past. What is something else you can do instead of snapping at that person? So either what I do is I try to respond respectfully. And again, this is difficult to respond respectfully when someone is trying to push you or whatever. And if I'm unable to respond respectfully, I just don't respond. I just close my mouth and I'm like, or I'm going to say, you know what, I have to talk about this later. And those are the two things that I've come up with. If you have another way of dealing with difficult people, let me know down below. But that is something that I have, that has worked for me. And to be quite frank, at the very beginning of this journey that I went through, I really thought, okay, I got this. I got a handle on this. I know what I'm doing and everything's going to be fine. And it is. But you just don't know when that trigger is going to pop up again. And that is why it's important to remain in control of yourself and your emotions and how you're responding to people. Now, back to the nervous system. One of the best ways is, of course, meditation. That is a big one. If you guys knew me when I was younger, or even when I was in Dubai, I was super reactive and I would just blow up at any moment. And I never did meditation. I didn't do any of these things. And so, if you feel like you are somebody that tends to you're overreacting at little things throughout the day, the news by the way, you should be not watching any news. I mean, who am I to tell anybody that? But just don't watch the news. That's all I can say. Just stop watching it, because I haven't watched the news in about 5 years, and it hasn't affected me. I'm still fine. And by the way, I still know the news for some weird reason. I still know that Trump kidnapped somebody. I know this stuff because it's just around me. I just hear about it all the time. I don't need to see the news every single day. That's a whole other topic that I'm not going to get into. But that is actually a big part of this, is to observe and analyze. What are you taking in? What information are you taking in every single day? What food are you intaking? Are you drinking 5 times a week? What are you absorbing into your body, into your mind every single day? So that is the work right there, which is correlated into your nervous system. And also the people that you surround yourself with. I'm going to be quite honest right now. Ever since I got separated, I have distanced myself from a lot of people. And I'm like, oh my God, I love it. Like, I just find that it's difficult to explain, because I think a lot of stuff happened in my life, but I decided to get the separation. I also have a daughter that takes up a lot of my time. And I also stopped trying hard with people that weren't giving me anything. And I know that could sound like, well, that's not love. And yeah, that could be true in a way. But to me, it is love, because I want to surround myself with people that truly want to spend time with me, and not because I'm messaging them like, hey, do you want to hang out? Hey, let's do this. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? And I used to do that for a very long time. And the moment that I stopped chasing people, I just felt so aligned with myself. And so just kind of ask yourself, do you have tons of friends, or even 5 or 6 friends? And they're not really aligned to you or where you're going, or they're somebody that tends to bring you down. There's actually this friend that I have, and she's lovely, like really lovely, lovely lady, but she can be a bit negative towards certain things. And so what I used to do is, as soon as I get a message, I'm like, boom, send her a message back. And what I realize is, like, I don't need to cut people off. I know this is a different topic, but I feel like it does have to do with nervous systems. That's what I'm talking about it. But I don't have to cut people off. That is another thing that you learn in spirituality, just cut everybody off. No, I don't believe that either. You can create boundaries with people, but you can limit your exposure to them. And that's what I did. So I wouldn't, instead of messaging her straight away, I'll take 6 or 7 days to respond, or I'll take a month, depending on who it is, right? So it's really about just analyzing all of these things. So that is obviously the work, the daily work. But then when you're in front of this person, or even if you're on YouTube and you get horrible comments or whatever it is, it could be, somebody is trying to provoke you or hurt you and make you feel bad or whatever it is. In that moment, there needs to be some plan. What are you going to do when someone provokes you? One of the things I do, as I mentioned, I told you the 2 things that I would do, and also taking a deep breath. So, let me think about that for a sec. And you really just give it space. You don't always have to respond. And there's a person in my life like this where they talk so fast. So you feel like you need to talk fast and you need to be on their level. It's like, no, let them talk fast and let them say whatever the hell they want to say. You take your time to respond. You do not need to attend each battle that is coming your way. You can just be at peace within yourself. And again, this is easier said than done, because Lord knows I struggle with this every single day. But there are times that I'm like, oh wow, I did really well there. Like, I'm proud of myself. And I think it's also about acknowledging yourself when you're doing great, because there's no way in hell that you're going to do amazing every single day. There's days where you're going to suck and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? And then some days you're like, oh wow, how on earth did I do that? So it's just about ebb and flow. And so it's really not about being perfect, but it's about choosing differently in that moment, making a different choice than you usually do. Leaving a relationship doesn't end the pattern, but meeting yourself does. That is the game changer here. If you're someone who's super aware, but you're still struggling with patterns and just reacting and, all the things that I just spoke about in this video, then keep on watching, because I'm going to be talking more about this topic. I'm also going to be talking a lot more about spirituality, God, relationships, a whole mixture of different things. And again, thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.